own fleet of servers that you can get access to directly through their website. I think for those of you who have applied for the server program, in the past, you've typically only dealt with Inflect, who can kind of coordinate the football with getting you access to servers with Zenlayer, StackPath, Equinix, and Lumen. And Edgevana is separate from that arrangement with Inflect. So you can still work with Inflect to get servers from those providers. And you can also just go directly to Edgevana's website and access servers that are part of the Solana, the server program that the foundation has built. As always, if you guys have questions, you can reach out to me. I'm happy to answer them, or Tim, and happy to field any questions now too about the program in general. One other thing I guess I could add, this wasn't really part of the plan, but you know, if you guys are looking for servers to use for either Neon or even the shadowy supercoders RPC network, you can use servers from the program for that as well. We've got, you know, the servers are there to service the Solana ecosystem. They're for validators and people who are providing services to the ecosystem to access directly from the providers. Just as like a reminder, you know, the foundation doesn't profit from this in any way. Once you sign up and you connect with the data center, your relationship is directly with that data center. So you're going to lease the servers, you know, on a month-to-month basis directly from each provider. And I'll check the chat here just to see if anybody had questions there. All right, well, that's it from me, Tim, unless you had anything else you wanted me to talk about.
Nope, that's it. Thank you, Alex. Yeah, sorry, I started the recording slightly late there, a little technical difficulty. So just if you missed the beginning of the video, Alex announced 2 new providers to the server program, Edgevana and Zenlayer. And this is, of course, the Validator Roundtable. So yeah, next we'll have Will Hickey. He's from the engineering team at Solana. He's going to talk about the 1.9.9 release.
Yeah, hi, thanks. So you've probably seen by now on Discord, we're aiming to get 1.9 out on mainnet beta here. Well, we're pushing for 20% this week. We'd like to push for supermajority next week, assuming things continue to go well. We're up to 9%, so that's going okay, but maybe a little slower than we'd like if we'd like to get 15 or 20% this week. So if you haven't updated yet and are willing to, please do. Couple of things about 1.9 that make it exciting. Incremental snapshots will come out with 1.9. We can't enable them until everyone is, or, you know, a supermajority is on 1.9, and we will probably not enable them right away after a supermajority is on 1.9 because we want to make sure things are stable. But the sooner we update, the sooner we can get incremental snapshots, which will mean faster restarts for validators. So that's good news. Also, from a development perspective, 1.8 was branched off of master in May of last year. That's a little bit terrifying that we're like over 9 months out now. 1.9 was branched off of master in December, so that's 3 months. So that's just great to make up 6 months of development backlog. So yeah, update if you can. Keep an eye on the announcements. Michael Hubbard has a question about activating incremental snapshots. I don't know exactly why that's not a good idea, but I have been led to believe that that's not a good idea. Okay.
There's also a question from Brian. We can follow up for Michael's question, but Brian, go ahead.
There we go. Hey, Will, how are you? So we're seeing right now on the RPC nodes, when we have the indexes enabled on 1.9, that 256 gig of RAM is not enough. And so we're in a situation right now that we're having to shut off some indexes to make it fit. Alex, for you, we really need in the server program the ability to upgrade to 512 gig of RAM in a crucial manner. I'm kind of concerned that we're going to have some troubles going forward.
Yeah, we're working on that.
Great.
We're working on that with a bunch of the providers, so
Perfect.
It's definitely an option. Yeah.
Perfect. Yep. But Will, do you know what is explaining the higher RAM usage? Is there anything special going on there?
I don't know, but that's a great question. I will look into it, and I'll get back to you on Discord just to keep it so that everyone gets the same information there. Great.
Awesome. Yeah. And thanks to you guys for being so responsive to all the feedback from the community. I do appreciate it.
We try. We can always do better.
That's the attitude. Any more questions for the release? All right. I think Ella's here. Ella, do you want to give an update about the delegation program?
Yeah, hey guys. So quick just a reminder that if you are a testnet validator in the delegation program, in order to continue being eligible for the delegation program on mainnet beta, you must run the Solana Labs testnet software without modifications. So if you are currently running a modification or thinking about running one, in order to remain eligible, you should not do that. We're still investigating claims that there have been modifications being sold on GitHub that change people's performance, but I saw in the Discord, it's also, there's been some discussion as to whether or not you're allowed to change the software. If you, again, are in the delegation program, you must run the released software. If you are not in the delegation program, you are welcome to experiment with, whatever modifications you want. And if you're in the delegation program and you want to experiment with modifications, feel free to, sign up for a second server and test those modifications on a separate server.
There's a question about enforcement from Michael Hubbard. How will that be enforced?
Yeah, so that goes back to investigating what is being done, figuring out a way to measure it, and then if we find modifications being run, those folks will be kicked out of the program.
All right, any more questions for Ella?
Just a small question about the modification. It does not applicable to official parameters of the officially delivered executable, I mean. So we can play with that, with the settings.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Solana Validator executable has a lot of parameters which can be changed, and they are official parameters, and we are allowed to do that change, or we should run only with default settings.
I mean, if there are parameters that are configurable, I assume that you can configure them however you see fit. But going out and running additional software on top of the testnet software in the delegation program is not encouraged or allowed.
Yes, right. Thanks.
All right, great.
So I would have one question, sorry.
Go ahead.
Basically, I'm asking, since we're on the topic of these patches, do you guys think there is any negative implication towards consensus or network stability if like a few nodes would patch their code? Or is it simply because on the testnet in the delegation program, it would not be fair to skip the queue? Or do you feel like there is any like stability or any like consensus related problems here?
So yeah, we're still looking into it, but basically the kind of conclusion that we've come to is really the point of the delegation program for validators that are on testnet is to soak the software that will eventually go onto mainnet, which means that everyone should be running, the software as it was released. And if there are any issues with it, our engineers can, see that in real time, make whatever adjustments necessary. And if somebody has a proposal for, hey, here's how we think the software should be better, it's all open source, and we encourage people to, make those PRs. So that's kind of the process. There's a secondary concern, which is, besides just soaking the software, if people are making certain modifications, like let's say delayed voting is one of them. If a majority of people were actually doing that change, that would directly harm consensus. And so there are different levels, of modifications, some that would have a direct impact, some that are just unfortunate but would not have a direct impact to consensus. And so the severity of, let's say, like, punishment, if you want to call it that, will match the severity of the change. But I just want to make it clear before we take any action, in case somebody, didn't realize that they should be running the software unmodified, that if you're running it unmodified now, we're kind of giving you some advance notice. Please don't run modified software if you're in the delegation program, because, there will be consequences.
All right, thank you, Ella. There's a question in chat about sharding, so I'll just read it. Is it true Solana does minor sharding? And how do you guys think this upgrade will fix bot issues, or is this a short-term fix? That's a little beyond my technical depth. Maybe Will or someone else, if you have an answer to that.
I think there's some other engineers on the call that have been around longer than I have and probably have more detail. Does anyone want to take a stab at this? Well, I'll give the best answer I can. Is it true that Solana does minor sharding? I am not aware of anything in Solana that I would call sharding. If anyone has, okay, we're getting some agreement there around that point. Yeah, let's just say no. I don't think there's anything that you could call sharding here. Updates fix the bot issues. I think there are some improvements here, and I think there are more improvements in version 1.10. Bot issues is like a vastly wide and varied set of concerns. There isn't one quick fix to these, so it's a sort of chip away at it kind of situation.
As far as I understand, 1.9 lays the groundwork for some of the fixes, and then future releases will have more direct fixes to address that, but not in 1.9. Okay, yeah, I think most of the questions have been answered here. Any other questions about the delegation program? All right, then one last issue I've got here. I'm putting together some lists. So I've got Twitter lists for RPC nodes and another Twitter list for validators. If you'd like to be included in that list, let me know. I could add you. So you can find me on Twitter as Tim Garcia0. I'll just add that here. Or on Discord as TI Garcia. So again, if you want your validator Twitter handle or your RBC Twitter handle, message me there and we'll add it. So that's all I've got on the agenda. Are there any more just open discussion questions that people want to bring up? No. Yeah, Brian, go ahead.
Maybe for Will here, the quick improvements for controlling traffic on TPU, is that scheduled for 1.10?
I'm going to get back to you on that. I
Okay.
don't want to commit to anything that I'm not sure of. Again,
Okay.
I'll post in Discord.
Okay, yeah. I think it might be, but it would be good to know kind of how soon that's coming along, because we see these congestion events daily right now. So.
Okay.
Fortunately, they're much shorter in life, and they don't take the cluster down. So.
Okay. So it's always a little bit unclear, what's going to be in a version until we're sort of finished with that version, because we get patches. We're working towards a release system that is less patch-based and more minor version-based, but that's still a little bit up in the air.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Joe, did you have a question?
And I was just trying to answer some of the questions that were kind of not answered completely.
Sure, go for it.
So yeah, first with the incremental snapshots. Well, actually, Brooks probably can answer that better than me, but mostly we want everyone to have that enabled because you're going to be serving snapshots from probably one of the known validators that the foundation runs. So those are going to be incremental. So if you don't have that enabled, it's probably it's not going to be compatible. So it's one of the main reasons why, because we're going to have all our known validators are going to be serving incremental snapshots too. So you can only it'll only work for you if you have incremental snapshots enabled. There was a question from Brian too with the secondary indexes. Most of that's probably all the NFT stuff. So we're trying to push the accounts to be plugin for widespread usage. That should fix that. It really works great, but it's also on our docs and has an. We also have a public repo for that. You can search for the accounts to be plugin, which is actually wrongly named now because you can stream tons more than just accounts to be data on it. But yeah, we're trying to push that. That'll pretty much reduce your RAM usage by quite a bit. Still working on that, but that's the idea, like long term, to try to push that. So for those that are not familiar, so Postgres works with Postgres, so you can give it a shot. You can find that on our GitHub. There was a sharding question. Yeah, no sharding at all. Yeah, there's some fixes that might help with the bot issues. We'll see how it goes. I don't know if there's on the notes, but I'll have to check. The quick TPU probably, I don't know, maybe 1.11 probably, I guess. Not sure. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Is there any other question?
Yeah. So one thing I want to summarize that maybe wasn't clear, for validators on 1.9, it looks like Brooks is recommending, so you can upgrade your validator and you can enable incremental snapshots whenever you want. The best practice, though, is probably to upgrade without incremental snapshots first. Make sure you're super, super comfortable with that release. You don't think you're going to roll back. And then once you're comfortable with that, restart your validator with incremental snapshots on. The issue is if you upgrade to incremental snapshots, you can't easily go back to non-incremental snapshots. So just keep that in mind. I have a doc that I sent out 2 weeks ago. Let me just find that real quick. I'll put it in the notes. So this gist here talks about some upgrade considerations. So just be aware that, especially with incremental snapshots, be sure you want to use them before you enable that flag. Be sure you're comfortable with the release. All right. So that's all I've got. Any other questions before we end it? Cool. All right. Thank you, everybody, for the time, and we'll see you all in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye. See you next one.